Welcome back to My Finance Partner. Viewers, today we're going to be chatting a little bit around your people in your business. So I guess the big topic here is around the valuing our people and how we go about doing that and the benefits thereof. So I think for me, one of the most important things is that we acknowledge in our businesses that we actually need our people. The whole point we've got them there is that we're not able to do everything ourselves and we need a little bit of help, and it's important that they understand that. A lot of business people I've chatted to over the years feel a little awkward around this because they somehow feel it changes the power dynamic in the situation. For me, nothing could be further from the truth. I think them feeling that they are part of the team and are valued by the business owner goes a long way towards creating the right kind of culture you want in terms of a high-performing team. So I think one of the most important things in that aspect comes around communication as well. And I think it's the quality of communication and your follow-through that's more important than the actual news itself. So if I can just unpack a little bit what I mean, the news doesn't always have to be good to employees, but it always has to be real. That's the first thing. I think the second part is whatever we say to employees and undertake to do, we commit to do. It's very important that our actions reflect our words. Otherwise, we tend to destroy trust over time. The opposite, of course, is true. When we engage meaningfully with our employees and we communicate honestly and openly, it does build trust, and there's huge value in that in business. Probably too hard to actually put a number to. All right, the second big part then around motivating, keeping employees happy. I'll say happy in inverted commas because we're not there to kind of pander to people and be their counselors. I think it's important, though, that we fairly remunerate them and that we also bring them along for the ride when the business does well. For me, that's an absolutely key concept in business. So how do we pay them fairly? I think obviously looking around at what other people are paying is an important part of it, but one of the biggest things for me is that we actually sit down and have open engagements with employees around it. It is a very awkward topic, so it is difficult, but it's a discipline that does have to happen. We have to get inside our employees' minds and get them to tell us what they want to earn and what they think they would need to accomplish in the business in order to be able to do that. The reason, of course, behind that is that they begin to understand the link between the value that they can add in your business and what they're able to earn out of the business. In general, it can start off as quite a difficult conversation, but over time, as they begin to discover that, what we're able to do from that is to figure out a plan to stretch them, to grow them, and to get them to do different roles within the business, which then allows you to pay them at a completely different level to what they're doing now. And importantly, the concept will always remain that as they add value and the business grows, then so they will be able to partake. I think another part of that is definitely coming up with an incentive scheme in terms of how much profit would you set aside, or how would your scheme look in terms of motivating your employees. Very important for business owners, especially those that don't necessarily work in the business every day, is to land that principle quite early. I've had some interesting discussions with business owners who are a few years down the line. Growth has been really, really good, and now employees are earning quite large bonuses, probably a lot more than what they would pay someone if they went straight out to the marketplace to get it. For me, that's not something a business owner should be getting emotional about. If anything, you could view it as a very attractive retention scheme, because it would be hard for an employee like that to leave. Plus, the business, by virtue of the fact that it's grown, will give a higher return to the business owner. Okay. Part 3 then is having regular discussions with your employees around their expected performance versus their planned performance. Again, these are difficult conversations, but difficult conversations are a life skill. You'll be helping yourself as much as you're helping them by having the discipline to actually sit down and engage on these things. I think the most critical factor for me in these discussions is that your expectation and timelines are very, very clear. What that means in practice is that as much as you've communicated it to them, you need them in their own words to express that back to you so that you both understand and everyone is on exactly the same page. I can't actually tell you how many times performance gaps are actually communication deficiencies. So I think that's the most important thing. Once that is established and we're having engagements around what's happened and expectations versus what delivery has been like, it's critically important to understand the obstacles that come out of that, and it's our role as business owners and managers to unblock those obstacles. Yes, there might be specific reasons around particular performance issues, but in my experience, normally it's around unblocking those obstacles and, very importantly, understanding any gaps between our expectations as business owners and what the employees viewed as what those expectations were. I think it's also important when we set these engagements, whether it be quarterly, monthly, however it might be in your business. I don't think you can get away with less than quarterly, to be honest, that even if there's nothing of any particular concern, in other words, everything's going well, we're all on track, you should still have the session. It's important that employees, when we have catch-ups, we can also just shoot the breeze and have a little catch-up around how things are going in their life. And it's not always a case of, well, as soon as we sit down and have one of these sessions, then something must be wrong. We have to kind of pull the fear out of those engagements out. There's also a ton of useful information as we discuss these obstacles and try and unblock them that come out. At the end of the day, we are very often not at the coalface and don't understand some of the day-to-day challenges. And as that engagement unfolds, there's a lot of actionable items that will come out of that will help you refine your business. The last part I just want to chat about today is around the culture, the team spirit that you create in your business. So for me personally and my business partner, one of the most attractive things about having our own business, and let's be honest, there's lots of hard parts that come along with that, but it was the ability to set tone within the organization, to create a culture that reflects our own value sets and value systems. And that we guard, and so should you as a business owner, you guard that very, very diligently. What that means is, as you observe interactions and as you engage with your own staff, that you're constantly looking at that through the filter of how you want your organization to be. What is, for example, the MFP way of doing things, or what is your business's way of doing things? If you're diligent about that, recognize good behavior, acknowledge people living those values, then very quickly it becomes culture in your organization. Once you've built culture, then it becomes much easier to maintain culture. And why is that? That's because when new people come and join your organization, they tend to revert to the way most people do things. Of course, the opposite of that is also true, and that means when you have an employee or a group of employees who are constantly undermining the culture or behaving in ways that are contrary to the way that we do things, that we have to intervene very, very quickly in that regard. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope it's been useful to you. If you have any questions around that or are looking at devising an incentive scheme or something similar, please come and chat to us at My Finance Partner.